So I recently did a video where I was kind of unboxing these Monster Hunter toys, and the plan originally was to strip these guys, to strip their paint jobs, and but the paint jobs are so good on them that I think that what I'm gonna do is just improve the paint jobs. Um, because like none of these guys really like I haven't gotten any of these that look crappy yet, like where they have a lousy paint job on them. Like some of these look pretty amazing. um so anyways, I do a lot of shopping at Target, right? So Target, they have these like loose, like Magic the Gathering, of course, like, um, they're like collector things. So this is more like what I would expect, like a pre-painted, toy to look like. So these guys were like three something, like I don't know, 325 or something, and like they were in like the basically like where the trading cards and like the gum and all that stuff, in the checkout of Target is. So they had like some, I just grabbed a few of them, and these are like spells, it's like, I guess like this is a plant. I actually like this, I really like this plant. I wish it was a little bigger. Like I would use it I wish it was a little bit bigger, and then like a standard, figure size, and I would use it as scatter. It's kind of a cool looking plant though. And then like a little treasure chest. I mean, all stuff that I could use. But so the plan is I'm going to try and strip the paint off of this guy. So I went ahead but also I had an appointment down south, and I went by one of the places that I know where they sell P3 paints, because I was just going to grab some on the way. P3, like, by the way, they're made by Privateer Press, the people who make War Machine and Hordes, and they kind of like a GW alternative, tabletop game, but still like just as rule heavy. Their paints are so good. They are just so good. So anyways, I grabbed one of these guys because I was curious. These are made by the same people. Like this is Pathfinder, made by, where is it? Here we are. WizKids. Paizo publishes Pathfinder. NECA they make toys. WizKids, I think that NECA is like the umbrella company. WizKids is the ones who make the minis. Like these are WizKids, NECA. This is like Pathfinder deep cuts, I think. But like these are, what I always thought though was that these guys, like the stuff that came in these, was like the cheapo, crappy painted stuff that comes in these, like the unpainted ones, and that basically these came primed. You can see a lot of flashing on some of these. These came primed, and then, but you could buy like these guys unprimed. But apparently not. Apparently these are unique. And I was interested to see this. So I was expecting a horrible paint job. It's not good. I mean, it's not great. Well, it's not bad either, Like it's not great, but it's not bad. And you could improve. I mean, you could take this paint job, touch up her face, and then, like you're pretty much there. Do some highlights. But what I was expecting was like crazy eyes, like cuckoo crazy eyes. No, they have like really good looking eyes and mouths, you know? Like I was expecting like crazy eyes that go and like just giant white dots with like black, you know, like crazy. These guys though that came in this box, like I love them. This guy's like a cultist, like a Satanist, whatever. But we're gonna strip the paint off of one of these guys as a test piece, and like I actually like this one. I like this sculpt. I think it's kind of just a really cool looking sculpt. Okay. Okay. Quiet. Wait until my dog stops barking. Okay. Quiet. So, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take. I have a ultrasonic jewelry cleaner thing. For well, I got it originally to clean my airbrush with, but there's all kinds of stuff that you can use those things for. So I got some degreaser, and then this is kind of cool, like it's a little random jail cell. I'm not sure this guy opens, but I wish it did, because I would like to put people in it. Not in real life, but you know, you get the idea. Anyways, so what we're going to do is we are going to strip the paint off of these two. And then we're going to see if this degreaser that I got melts PVC plastic. That's the plan. Okay, so another thing I got off Amazon, Ultrasonic Lip Jewelry Cleaner. This guy doesn't have that big of a capacity. Like you couldn't fit too much stuff in here, but it was cheap. It's like 30 bucks or something. And like I feel like this is a really good buy for pretty much anybody who's in this hobby, who's into this kind of stuff. And then we got your Purple Power degreaser. So this goes into a pressure washer, and then it basically you just use a pressure washer and it just blasts all of the dirt, oil, grease, mildew stains, and paint. It'll take off paint too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dilute it a little bit. I don't want to put it in full strength. I'm going to do about 50-50 Purple Power, 50-50 water. And then I'm going to fill this guy up just enough to cover the mini. All right, we got some of the usual suspects here. Got some Vallejo washes, got Citadel, got some Atarax Earth Shade, some Reichland Flesh Shade. So yeah, first I think I'm gonna do her wings. I'm gonna try, I might mix these together. I might even mix a little bit of glazing medium in here. And for those of you who don't know what this is a wet palette. This is a game changer for painting. Basically all this is just it's a big sponge, and then it keeps your paints kind of wet so that they don't dry out on your palette. But it's a godsend for doing like wet blending and things like that. So, oh, you know what I forgot to do? I'm gonna do a before and after picture. I'll just take a picture here. There. So we'll put some washes on the wings. I'm using a pretty big brush to do this. If you're using teeny tiny brushes to do washes, you're doing it wrong. So what I'm doing with the wash too is that I'm starting at the top, and then I'm pulling it down where I want to create shadows. So I'm trying to not let it like pull in spots where I don't want shadows. I'll pull it off of those areas down into areas, recesses where I do want more shadows. Try a little bit of flesh shade. Okay, just a couple washes already just makes a huge difference. And now I'm gonna go over the wings, a little bit darker wash in some places, not everywhere, just in a few places. Just gonna add a little bit of brown, some of the deeper shadows. Kind of blending those two tones together a little bit while it's still wet. Or wet blending, as all the cool kids call it. Okay, now I'm going to glaze on a little bit more of a darker green, kind of like a forest green. This is Vallejo again. I don't know about that. I have two kind of greens that came in starter kits. Check out both of them. Ooh, actually, yeah, those look good. This is the... There's two pretty dark one and then a lighter one, and then I'm gonna add even more highlights. So just thin it out with water. I was thinking about using a little bit of glazing medium, but I think this will be fine. All right, dark to light. Fix some of those little spots where the gold got put in places where it's not supposed to be. Better. Now I'm going to blend in the lighter color. It's almost a little deeper. Not sure about that. Alright, so I feel like that's already just a massive improvement. I mean, you can see just what a few kind of washes of some better, well, just some washes in general can do to this stuff. So now I'm gonna add some more little highlights in on the gold to kind of like make her gold armor really pop. Again, I'm using Vallejo. I'm a Vallejo fanboy. I love their paints, just so good. But let's see if we can. Yeah, it's not that different of a gold from what they have, but I can still put in some highlights in some areas to bring them out. No, that's actually a much better gold. Yeah. Just glaze on a little more of this gold. I feel like this is what Vallejo paints are really meant for, is glazing. Like that's where they really, give their quality a chance to shine. Okay, that's pretty much it for like washes and touching up the green and the gold, etc. Doing a little bit of glazing with the gold. I think I am going to do maybe one more wash on the gold to make it a little more red. Try and get as much of the texture as I can out of that. But before I let this dry, I'm going to do some dry brushing on like the wings and stuff and the cloak and all that. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to do a little bit of edge highlighting with the white to really make the wings pop. Just kind of do a little bit of wet blending with or glazing with the on the wings to make those some of those edges just really pop out. Okay, and then so that's all the edge highlighting. And then if you go too light, just take take more of the wash and then just kind of blend it in, like wet blend it together with the with your highlights. So last thing that I'm going to do before while it's still just a little bit wet, last wet blending part is I'm going to glaze on just a little bit of some flesh tone highlights. Just going to use a light flesh tone, and then I need want a smaller brush for that. Teeny tiny brush. There we go. Ooh, too much. And that's it for wet blending. Now I'm gonna use some actual dry paints, dry brushing paints. Just to kind of make these feathers pop out a little bit more. And this is a makeup brush. It's a like elf. Yeah, elf makeup brush. And it's meant for using like dry makeup pigments. It doesn't really pick up a whole lot of paint, and they're really good for dry brushing. And they're super cheap. They're like $3 or $2 or something ridiculous at like Target or Walmart or wherever. Ooh. All right, and now I'm gonna do a little bit of drier edge highlighting with the just like a dried out Citadel paint. It's kind of like a it's the one thing that I don't like about Citadel paints is, well, I feel like there's better options. Like they're really expensive and they tend to dry out because you can't really get a good seal. Or this is a horrible seal, this design. So the paints tend to dry out pretty quickly. But it works for like dry brushing, kind of edge highlighting. And I'm kind of using like the edge of the brush, the side of the brush more than the tip. All right, that's the finished paint job. I think I'm going to do something else to base her. But I mean, you can see like the difference that just some washes, a little bit of edge highlighting, kind of like going over the paint job in some areas to fix like boo-boos and stuff, what a difference that makes. I feel like that's a huge improvement. And then also, if you wanted to do eyes like hers, there's a good way to do that. You use a micron. This is just like a really fine tip pen. This one isn't quite fine enough, but it's just like you can draw on that stuff. Or you could just get the pre-painted ones and then shade them and all that. But yeah, I think that it makes a huge difference. And now, as promised, time to check on the PVC, the one that I tried to melt the paint job off of. Okay, this has been going for a little while, and then yeah, I was cleaning the airbrush too while I was doing that. I'm gonna let the airbrush soak a little longer too, but let's check on this guy. So I can already see it looks like some paint did come off, but if I scrub on it with a toothbrush, let me see, is this coming off? Yeah, it is. What it is though is that this guy was already green, so the vinyl was green, and it's melted the super glue too that was in here. I'm surprised it didn't melt this heat stamp off though. So it melted the super glue and it melted the black paint, but the guy himself was green. So yeah, I mean, kind of anticlimactic, but you can definitely strip paint off of the PVC pre-painted guys that you get, from NECA, WizKids, or whoever, if you want to repaint them. Let me just rinse this guy off real quick. Yeah, scrub most of it off on top. And it's coming off on the bottom. So I think what I'll do is just let it soak a little bit longer, and then we'll see how much more paint comes off of him. Okay, so I was busy. I ended up leaving these guys to soak for closer to like 48 hours. But I think this is going to be a good test. So yeah, airbrush seems squeaky clean. Like I can see there's all this gunk that came out of the airbrush that was in there. So that's a huge success. That part's a big success. That was like some primer, and yeah, so that's much better. But let's check on the Mini. So I can already tell that none of the plastic has melted, but not all of the paint has melted off either. And I'm not really too surprised, because I imagine that the paint that they're using, like basically, I think that if this was like some kind of model paints, if this was like Vallejo or Citadel or, like Army Painter, like something like that, like Usual Suspects, I think that this would have all come off completely. But also, was something that I learned is that this guy was green to begin with. I thought that they had slapped on green paint. I was expecting more like a white vinyl or something, but yeah, I mean, pretty successful test. So one thing I'm going to do is you can see that it really melted off. Well, I mean, if I scrub on it with the toothbrush, it does come off, but it really took off the part where I scrubbed it before pretty good with the toothbrush. It's like getting in these little cracks and stuff, and under the underside, you know, it didn't just melt that. And I might try a more concentrated version too of the Purple Power stuff. The other thing that's interesting though is that I'm not seeing any paint flakes in here. Like, it seems like the paint that did come off sort of just melted. I was expecting this to come off. The heat stamp. But also, I'm going to try some more stuff in here. I'm going to just, this guy, for instance. So if this is like a silvery kind of plastic, I think that it'll just melt the super glue in here. And then I can pop it off and be like, okay, you wake up and you're in a cage, you know, to my players. I'm also going to try it a little bit more concentrated with the Purple Power, less water. So, but yeah, successful test, especially on my airbrush, which is what I had bought this thing for. So anyways, yeah, thanks for watching.